Hello, welcome back. Today I want to tell you a story. It is a true story. It is my story. It is about 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes a day. That small number changed my whole life, and I think it can change yours too. My name is Victor. I am 46 years old now. But this story starts many years ago when I was 25. Back then, I had big dreams but no discipline. I wanted to write a book. I wanted to learn a new language. I wanted to get in shape. I wanted 100 different things. But every night, I went to bed with nothing done. I told myself, tomorrow I will start, but tomorrow never came. Days turned into months. Months turned into years. And I was still the same person, standing in the same place, dreaming the same dreams. I want to tell you exactly how this happened, and how 10 minutes a day pulled me out of it. Lesson 1. The excuse that never ends. Every failure has a favorite excuse. Mine was time. I always said, I don't have time. I said it in the morning. I said it at night. I said it to my friends and I said it to myself. I believed it completely. I thought big changes needed big blocks of time. I thought if I could not find 2 hours to write, there was no point in writing at all. I thought if I could not go to the gym for a full session, there was no point in exercising at all. This idea felt reasonable, felt logical, but it was wrong and it was slowly killing my future. I watched years pass this way. I watched friends finish degrees while I said I had no time to study. I watched coworkers get promoted because they learned new skills, while I said I had no time to learn. I watched my body grow weaker, while I said I had no time to move. Every single time the excuse felt true in the moment. But looking back, I know now it was just fear wearing a mask. Fear of starting. Fear of failing. Fear of trying and not being good enough. Time was never the real problem. Fear was. Lesson 2. The night everything changed. One evening, I was sitting on my couch, scrolling through my phone. I had done this for almost 2 hours without noticing. My eyes were tired. My mind felt empty. I looked at the clock and felt a strange, heavy sadness. 2 hours gone, and I had nothing to show for it. Nothing learned. Nothing built. Nothing improved. Just 2 hours disappeared into nothing. That night I could not sleep. I kept thinking about all the hours I had wasted like that one. Hundreds of them. Maybe thousands. I thought about the book I never wrote, the language I never learned, the body I never built, and I asked myself a simple question. If I had used even a small part of that wasted time, where would I be now? I did not have an answer, and that scared me more than anything. The next morning I made a decision. It was a small decision, almost embarrassingly small. I decided I would give one goal just 10 minutes a day. Not 2 hours. Not 1 hour. Just 10 minutes. I chose writing because it was the dream I had carried the longest. I told myself, 10 minutes is nothing. Even I can find 10 minutes. And that thought felt true. felt possible. For the first time in years, a goal did not feel impossible. Lesson 3. 10 minutes felt too small. The first day, I sat down and set a timer for 10 minutes. I opened a blank page and started writing. Felt strange. 10 minutes passed so quickly. I had barely warmed up when the timer rang. I looked at what I wrote. It was not much. A few paragraphs, nothing special. Part of me felt disappointed. I thought, this is too small. This will never lead anywhere. But I kept going. The next day I did it again. 10 minutes. Then the next day 10 minutes again. Some days felt easy. Some days felt hard. Some days I did not want to sit down at all. But I kept a simple rule for myself. I did not have to write well. I did not have to write a lot. I only had to show up for 10 minutes. That was the only rule, and it was a rule I could always keep even on my worst days. After 2 weeks, something small but important happened. Sitting down to write no longer felt strange. Felt normal. It became part of my morning, like brushing my teeth. I did not have to force myself as much. My hands moved faster. My ideas came more easily. 10 minutes still felt short, but it no longer felt useless. Lesson 4. The trick behind 10 minutes. Here is something I did not expect. Many days after my 10 minutes ended, I kept going anyway. The timer would ring, and I would look at what I was writing and think, just a few more minutes. 10 minutes often became 20. Sometimes it became 40. But here is the important part. Those extra minutes only came because I had already started. Starting was always the hardest part, and 10 minutes made starting easy. If I had told myself, write for 1 hour, I would have felt tired before I even began. My mind would have found a reason to avoid it. But just 10 minutes never felt heavy. Felt light. Felt like nothing. And because it felt like nothing, I never said no to it. That was the real secret. 10 minutes was not really about 10 minutes. It was about removing the fear of starting. I began to apply this same idea to other parts of my life. 10 minutes of reading before bed, instead of telling myself I needed to read a whole chapter. 10 minutes of stretching in the morning, instead of promising myself a full workout I would never begin. 10 minutes of practicing a new language on my lunch break, instead of waiting for a free weekend that never came. Each one of these small habits felt too small to matter. But each one of them, one small step after another, began to build something real. Lesson 5. The slow, invisible growth. For the first month, I did not feel like much was changing. My writing was still simple. My body still felt the same. My new language still felt clumsy in my mouth. I sometimes wondered if 10 minutes a day was really doing anything at all. It felt so small compared to the big dreams I carried in my heart. But I kept going anyway because the habit itself had become easy to keep. And slowly, without me noticing at first, things began to shift. One day, I realized I had written enough pages to fill a small notebook. I had not planned that. It had simply happened, one 10-minute session at a time. One day, I noticed I could hold a short conversation in the language I was learning, a conversation I could not have held 2 months earlier. One day, I climbed a flight of stairs and realized my legs did not feel tired the way they used to. None of these changes arrived with a loud announcement. They arrived quietly, the way a plant grows. You do not see a plant growing if you stare at it every minute. But if you walk away and come back weeks later, the difference is impossible to miss. That is exactly how 10 minutes a day works. It is too slow to notice day by day, but impossible to miss month by month. Lesson 6. The days I wanted to quit. I want to be honest with you. It was not always easy. There were days I felt tired and did not want to do anything at all. There were days I sat down for my 10 minutes and produced nothing good. There were days I missed my habit completely because life got busy or because I simply forgot. In the beginning, missing a day felt like failure. I felt guilty. I felt like giving up completely. But then I learned something important. Missing one day does not destroy a habit. Missing one day is normal. What destroys a habit is missing 2 days in a row, and then 3, and then never coming back at all. So I made a new rule for myself. If I missed a day, I would not punish myself. I would simply return the very next day without guilt, without long explanations. I would just show up again. This small change in thinking saved my habit more times than I can count. I stopped chasing perfection. I started chasing consistency instead. Perfection asks for everything, every single day, and gives up the moment you fail once. Consistency only asks you to return again and again, no matter how many times you fall. Lesson 7. 10 minutes becomes a mirror. As the months passed, I began to notice something deeper happening inside me. 10 minutes a day was no longer only about writing or reading or stretching. It became a kind of mirror. Every day when I sat down for those 10 minutes, I was really answering a question. Am I someone who shows up for myself or not? On the days I sat down, even when I did not feel like it, I felt proud. Not because the work was excellent, but because I had kept a promise to myself. And keeping small promises to yourself again and again builds something that money cannot buy. It builds trust in yourself. It builds the quiet belief that when you say you will do something, you actually do it. I had spent years not trusting myself. I made big promises and broke them within days. But 10 minutes a day was small enough to keep, and every time I kept it, that trust grew a little stronger. Slowly, I became someone I could rely on. And once I could rely on myself for 10 minutes, I found the courage to rely on myself for bigger things too. Lesson 8. A year later. 1 year after that quiet, sad night on my couch, I looked back at what 10 minutes a day had built. I had finished my first book. It was not perfect, but it was finished and it was mine. I could hold full conversations in a new language, conversations I once thought were years away. My body felt stronger, lighter, more alive. My mornings, once filled with scrolling and emptiness, were now filled with small, meaningful actions. None of this happened because of one dramatic moment. It happened because of hundreds of small 10-minute sessions, stacked quietly on top of each other, day after day. If you had shown me on day one exactly how far I would come, I probably would not have believed you. 10 minutes felt too small to matter. But I have learned that small things, repeated often enough, are never small at all. Lesson 9. What I want you to understand. I am not telling you this story so you will admire me. I am telling you this story because I remember exactly how it feels to be stuck. I remember believing that big changes only come from big efforts, and feeling defeated before I even began because I never had a big effort to give. If that is how you feel right now, I want you to know something important. You do not need 2 hours. You do not need a perfect plan. You do not need to feel fully ready. You only need 10 minutes. Pick one thing, just one. The book you want to write, the skill you want to learn, the body you want to build, the habit you have been putting off for years. Give it 10 minutes today, not tomorrow, today. Set a timer if you need to. Sit down and simply begin. When the 10 minutes are done, you can stop, guilt-free, knowing you kept your promise. Or if you feel like continuing, let yourself continue. Either way, you win. Do this again tomorrow, and the day after that. Do not aim for perfect days. Aim for showing up. On the hard days, 10 minutes will feel like a mountain, and that is okay. Climb it anyway, slowly, one small step at a time. On the good days, 10 minutes will turn into 30 or 60 without you even trying. Let it. But never depend on those good days alone. Depend on the small, steady promise of 10 minutes, because that promise will never abandon you, even when motivation does. Final words. Time is strange. We often wait for the perfect moment, the perfect mood, the perfect amount of free hours before we allow ourselves to start. But that perfect moment rarely comes. What comes instead are ordinary days, filled with ordinary minutes. And it is inside those ordinary minutes, 10 at a time, that real change quietly takes root. I am not a different person because of one lucky break. I am a different person because I stopped waiting for permission to begin and started giving my dreams 10 honest minutes a day. That is all it takes to start. Not certainty, not perfect conditions, just 10 minutes and the willingness to show up again tomorrow. So, wherever you are right now, whatever dream you have been putting off, I want you to ask yourself one simple question. What could you build 1 year from now if you gave it just 10 minutes a day starting today? You already have the 10 minutes. You always did. Now go use them.